Hello everyone, and welcome to Designing Worlds, the weekly show about design and designers in virtual worlds, brought to you by Prim Perfect Publications. I'm Saffia Widdershins.
And I'm Elrik Merlin, and this week we're travelling to a very beautiful estate, sometimes called the Coeurs, sometimes called the Duchy, a series of 14 French Baroque regions, each named after a specific region in France.
And we're joined here by two of the owners of the estate, His Grace the Duke and one of the two Duchesses of the Coeurs. But we have permission to introduce them by their less formal names as Bedřich Panicek and Skyrider Variel.
Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, can you tell me the time period we've arrived in?
It's the late 18th century, and specifically it's 1787, but we use a fairly wide time range between 1750 and around 1830.
Aha! Right, so we can wear a variety of costumes then.
You can.
And do.
And I think it's very clever that you're stopping 2 years before the French Revolution when everything changed.
Yes.
It got a bit too bloody after that.
Yeah, absolutely. But am I right in believing that this is not actually strictly a role play sim?
We specifically avoided that. One of the problems that we've had in the past is that people take it a little bit too seriously. And so what we've tried to do is to make it a time when you can just look back. It's a timeless era, and just try to relax.
We focus more on the romantic aspects of that time period.
Oh, well, that's rather nice, isn't it? And what a good time to be talking to you in that case. I think you've also made a conscious effort to avoid what we might call court roleplay, where the roleplay centres around the court and nobility, right?
Yes.
Now, I've visited the estate quite a while ago, back in 2008, when there were far fewer regions. We actually had an early issue of the Primgraph set here. But perhaps you could explain how you came to first establish the Duchy.
The Duchy was actually the concept of Debria Lane from 2007. I met her, and she introduced me to Versailles. And one of the things that she had suggested was that instead of something as formal as a royal court, to come up with something along the lines of the book Angelique that was written by Anne Golan.
Right, yes.
Angelique lived in Poitou and gradually moved to Languedoc and the Toulouse area. So the Languedoc-Coeurs was our first region, and gradually built that up, and it started a little bit royal, but at the same time it was a lot of countryside.
Right.
I think that when Tatiana and I came along, that's when we sort of moved to more of the bourgeois.
Mm.
And that was in April of 2008, and at that time it was just wonderful that Sky and Tatiana took over the decorating of the regions, and they purchased one, and I added a homestead, and so we ended up with 3, and I believe that's when you saw it
that's
5 years ago.
Yes, that was when I saw it. And
then I came in and landscaped everything over.
It's immensely pretty then, and now it's just gorgeous.
So, since that time, it's grown a fair amount, has it?
Oh, yes.
We've gradually grown. We first moved to 6 regions, and one of the things that I wanted to do was to have a canal lock. So we added another region so that we could have that lock, and then we wanted to get down off that upper area, so we added another region, and so we ended up with 14 regions.
That's quite impressive. You've got a mixture of public areas, residential and commercial, I believe, on the estate.
Yes. Primarily, we have it as a public sim. And what we've done is all the transportation is done in all public areas. And then we have residential houses mostly in the outer areas. And the core the regions have public facilities and commercial establishments.
Right.
Okay. And Sky, I think the commercial area includes something special of yours, am I right?
She has a home building store.
I have a store over Aquitaine and Aquitaine South. It's 2 regions big, and I actually expanded those regions in the Duchy so that I could put a store over top.
Oh, wow.
All right. And will we see many of your bills on the estate as we travel around?
Quite a few. I would say probably at least 60% is homes that I've done, and I've done most of the landscaping.
Right.
Wow, that's very neat, isn't it? And I think there's also a centre close by here where people can find out more. Perhaps you can tell us about that.
As a matter of fact, we have the info center just off this courtyard area, and the info center provides primary information about the Duchy and also the merchants that are in the Duchy and the available residences that are currently for rent.
Aha.
Ah, okay.
And there's a wide range of things for visitors to do here. I believe you make every effort to keep them entertained, don't you?
We certainly try. There's boating, there's horseback riding, we have ice skating races, boat races, we have balls. Later this year we will have Baharat Atlas back doing music programs. We have a summer musical festival coming up. We have, the carriages are wonderful. If you've never ridden in our carriages, the horses are very smart and can take you anywhere. Especially even if you're a resident, you can go from house to house in the carriage. Every resident has their own carriage that they can call from their security system.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That sounds great.
Doesn't it? Absolutely.
Now, I believe you've got a museum here.
We do. It was created by Bagheera Christian, and she was a tenant here. And she put together a museum of fashion from 1795 to 1820. And it's right here close by in our center.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Wow, yes, I can imagine you would. And I'd rather like the idea of a boat trip, actually.
Wonderful.
Then perhaps we can all meet up later. And Sky, perhaps you could show me the museum.
I would love to.
And perhaps the pair of us can head for the boat.
Let's go.
You're going to get wet. Very wet.
I see. Well, that could be fun.
So, Sky, can you tell me a little about the museum?
Well, as I said, one of our tenants, Bagheera Christian, this was her brainchild, and she set this up while she was living here in the Duchy. And when she did leave, we asked her to keep it here because we really liked it, and it has a lot of information about fashion from 1795 to 1820 with pictures and history, and we just think that's wonderful.
It is. It's fantastic. It must be very helpful to residents as well. Is this the only museum here, or are there other places like this as well?
Well, we have the library, which is got many, many books from the era in it, and that is a wonderful place to visit also. We have some historical buildings, too, in the Duchy, but this is the only... I just remember we also have an art museum just off the ballroom.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
We also have, during our festival, our music festival in July, our... the village dock, it becomes an artist area where they rent and they put up their paintings. So it's all full of different works from different artists throughout Second Life.
That's brilliant. Oh, I must come over and see that in the summer.
It's a lot of fun.
Sounds like a really good arts festival you have here.
We do. It's wonderful. We had, I think something like 40 different musicians, and it goes for 3 days over a weekend in July. Mm-hmm. And it's a wonderful event. And we have art contests also at the time where people can submit their paintings and we vote on them. And so it's a all-around art event.
That sounds brilliant. Shall we follow Elrik and Bedrick? Although I imagine it's going to be quite hard to catch them because they've got a head start on us in the boat.
Not at all. We can always take a carriage and catch up with them.
That sounds like an excellent idea. And when we find a carriage, we'll take a short break. But after that, we have plenty of fascinating things to explore, so don't go away.
Radio Real is an internet public radio station with multiple streams on the air daily. We play an extensive variety of music for listeners with eclectic taste, from early music to Victoriana, big band and folk, plus drama and special programs. For more details, visit radioreal.org.
The best things in life are free.
A wise man once said that no good deed ever goes unpunished.
Mr. Quinn, I need your help.
He wasn't kidding.
I said I'd see Miss Alice home.
Yeah, but I bet she didn't mention the risks. Did she? Monsters live out there.
Welcome back to Designing Worlds, the show all about design and designers in virtual worlds. And this week we're exploring the Duchy of the Coeurs estate, and we've come to one of the canal systems that line these regions. Bedrick, can you tell me something about the canal system here?
This canal is modeled after the Languedoc Canal that extends from Toulouse over to the Mediterranean. The canal was actually finished in 1681 during Louis XIV's reign, and it was privately developed with state backing.
Oh, very cool. So you can actually travel through the entire system by boat, can you?
Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, these boats are completely manually controlled.
Oh, brilliant.
And you can go anywhere you want.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, why don't we do just that? If you would be so kind. It's very, very much appreciated that you are doing the heavy pulling here for us.
Okay, let's pull out.
Oh, wow. Very nice. And this is all manual, huh?
Yes.
You can get quite a speed up, though, can't you?
The waterways have current. And so there are some areas where you have to really pull hard to get anywhere. In other areas, you're pushed from behind and you just go sailing.
Well, this looks like a lock system of some sort.
This is modeled after one of the locks in the Canal du Midi, and this lock has a characteristic curve.
Oh, right. So it does.
This is actually very unique among canals. This curve was built this way to help retain the walls due to the pressure, although scientists later found that this really wasn't necessary. But in the original design, they had straight walls, and they collapsed, and they curved the walls, and it held it back. So,
all right. So we've nearly closed the gates at the end we came in.
Okay, so now the gates are closed. The gates design is one used by that Leonardo da Vinci developed.
Oh, really? Okay, brilliant.
The idea behind the gates is that the more water pressure against them, the tighter the gate is closed.
Right.
And these are mitre gates.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Now, Leonardo did not develop this for this canal. He developed it for canals in Florence.
Right.
But he was asked to check out the possibility of developing this canal. And at the time, they thought that it really couldn't be done.
Wow. And okay, so you've opened the sluices at the front end, so to speak, the destination end, and the water level's coming up. Excellent. Just what we need, really. And you even get pushed back by the water inflow, I notice.
Yes.
Very neat.
We have boat races, and we start from here. This is our starting point. And we usually have about 10 rowboats in here when we start off. And trying to get out of this gate is hilarious.
Goodness, I can imagine. So what sort of form do the boat races take? They're all rowing boats, are they?
Yes, they're all rowing boats, and they're the same type. And so the contestants are up against the same currents. And some of the currents in some areas push you out to sea, some push you against the banks, and some are very, very difficult to row against, and you have to really know where the current is to have a good idea of how to go through it.
Okay. So who actually did the planning with for this system and doing things like modeling the currents and stuff like that?
I designed everything, and also the carriage system. These are controlled by a computer that's outside of Second Life.
Oh, really?
And yes, there's a server that the boats talk to and carriages talk to find out what to do next.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's an interesting approach, isn't it? Fascinating. So, we're making quite good progress now.
Yes, we are. Now we're in Poitou, and we're coming up on the lake. Once we reach the lake, on the far side are river rapids.
Well, you can make pretty good progress once you get going on the river here, can't you?
You can, and once you get to the lake is spinning around very slowly, fed from the waterfalls to our left. So if you just let the boat sit, it'll move around in a slow circle. We're approaching rapids right now.
So we are. Oh yeah, I can see those ahead. Okay, well this is going to be an interesting experience, isn't it?
This is a challenge. during the race, this is the point where we lose people, and we have people get stuck, and people who go flying out of the water. This is
okay. Woo!
Totally unpredictable. You have a little bit of control, and now we're
not very much.
No,
okay.
Not very much.
Oh, and we bounce off things and everything. Wow, that was amazing. Very, very, very impressive indeed.
It's when you're racing, your hands are soaked. I'm grabbing onto the chair and the table, and it's a real workout.
Evidently, wow, amazing. Brilliant. Well, and now we're making really good progress again.
Yes, we're in Aquitaine, Coeurs, and Sky designed the houses both on our left and our right. She did most of that. I do all the roads. She does the houses and the landscaping. So we're really a good team. We're going to take a shortcut through here.
Ah, okay. Yeah, there's some really amazing properties around here. Very, very impressive. Through a reed bed. Yes, okay. Very nice.
The sign that we just passed is for racing. We have ice skating racing during the winter, and during the spring, summer, and autumn, we do boat races. And the course is very similar, so we're coming up against a lot of current right now.
Okay. Well, I think we could probably moor here, couldn't we?
Yes, it looks like we won't have a choice. The water is pushing us.
That will be fine, actually. I think that's given us a really, and our viewers, a really nice experience of what the boating is like here. Very, very exhilarating and very impressive. So it's a really amazing way to travel. I wonder how Saffia's getting on. Talking of travelling.
Well, Elrik, we've come to a carriage stop, as I suppose we should call it. And we're actually standing in front of a statue, a rather interesting statue of a rather interesting woman, Eleanor of Aquitaine, who had a very checkered career and finally ended up married to Henry II of England. Not very happily in times, which gave rise to the play The Lion in Winter. What an interesting woman to be here, Sky.
Yes, she was given to us by our very dear friend Trasco Beaumont. He has been one of our closest friends here in Second Life, and he made several statues that we have around the Duchy. He also did Joan d'Arc and one other based on a mythical, I don't think it's Icarus, but somebody else, I forget the name, but he's a wonderful artist, and we have several of his statues gracing the Duchy.
How lovely. Now, these carriage stops, I can see one just in front of us. Are they scattered throughout the Duchy?
They are. Some have stationary carriages that are waiting at the stops, and some of them have just the signs that you can click to call a carriage.
Oh, wonderful. Now, I believe you can choose a variety of destinations when the carriages come.
Yes, all you have to do is seat yourself in the carriage and click the carriage or the horse, and the horse will give you a list of many, many destinations. They are categorized by categories such as romance, residences, places for entertainment, places for education. So it's all laid out for you, and you can also call a certain type of carriage. In the winter, you can call a sleigh. You can call a pink sleigh or a blue sleigh. And in the summer, you can call 2-seater carriages or 4-seater carriages in different colors and styles.
Oh, how wonderful. And these cross sim boundaries then?
Yes, they do, especially now that SL has made the crossing so much nicer.
Oh, that's good for you. And I believe you were saying earlier that residents can call carriages to their houses?
They can. Each resident has a security panel, and they can choose the carriage that they want from their security panel, and it will arrive at their house, and they can take it to any place, including their friends' houses in the Duchy.
Oh, that's just wonderful. And being able to choose their own carriage as well can be extremely stylish. What a wonderful thing for the residents.
It really, really is. And the residents can also have carriages made especially for them with their crest on it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're not going to be quite that grand, I think, but shall we call a carriage now?
We can.
Oh, this is wonderful. Gosh, I love the way that instead of rezzing before us, it actually comes up to meet us.
It does.
That's wonderful.
Shall we go?
Yes, let's.
Yes, let's. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let me pick a place to go. Okay, here we go.
Okay. So which region are we in now?
We are in Aquitaine Coeurs Nord, North Aquitaine. Mm-hmm. We're just about to enter the village again. We're going to pass through the village on our way to our destination.
Oh, lovely. This is such a pretty little village.
It really is. It was Bedrick's brainchild, and he built it. I did most of the texturing on the buildings and did the landscaping for it, but it is a lot of fun. And we're coming up a little bit on to our right, there will be a chateau that I built up on the hill there.
Right.
It has a resident now. Can't see much of it from the road, but
I'm sure our cameras will be able to peek at it. But a lot of these seem to be very nice sort of residential houses.
Yes, this area is mostly residential. When we cross into Aquitaine, which we're about to do, you can see on our right there's the lighthouse. That is a new building of mine. It's actually a lighthouse called Castaway Lighthouse, and it is quite interesting. It has a residences inside of it, 4 bedrooms, and a beautiful garden. Now we're passing in front of an area called Luda Idel. It is a cafe where we have some of our events in the summer, especially. On a nice evening, we gather around the fountain and have some wonderful events, musical events.
Fantastic. That sounds a great thing to do.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, especially we have outdoor type musical events there mostly. On our left is a little farm area, which is a visitor area. They can go and prance about with the ponies, and
that's very sweet.
Now we're heading into the heart of Aquitaine.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we get past the region. Yes, there we go. And to the right, up on the mountain, is Castle Falcon Guard. It is a visitor area. It's not a residential, and we often have events up there on the ramparts.
It's a splendid building.
To the left is the picture, the statue of Joan d'Arc, I believe, in the pavilion there that Trasco also created.
Right. There's so many beautiful buildings here, and beautiful landscaping as well.
Thank you. This building on the left is called Fox Glen, and we have a resident in there now enjoying it. Further down on the left is Stonegate Cottage, and that's also occupied, as is the one in front of us, which is Briarwood.
I believe when I was here a few years ago, it was quite interesting to row down by the caves, because you could actually go inside caves under the mountains. Do you still have that?
We do. As a matter of fact, right on our right, there's a cave that goes into the mountain below the castle. You can just glimpse it. And then we have the main area of cave still under Long Dock. And later, when we head toward the marketplace in Provence, we will pass next to one of the entrances to those caves, and I will point it out to you.
Okay.
We are coming up now on the Duchy Cemetery. Every duchy must have a cemetery. And several years ago, it was requested that we have one. And so I built this cemetery, and then we moved it here. It was originally in Terrain East, but we moved it here because we liked it so much and didn't want to just give it up.
Right. It's a very mysterious place. Very beautiful, though.
Coming up is our destination, and then we'll turn around and head back to the Provence market. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So I will talk about these houses again in case you are interested. To the right we have a Tudor cottage that I made, and also to the left is a little Stonegate cottage. We're coming up on the cemetery now to the right. We have lots of fun here on Halloween. We kind of have all sorts of ghosts and other things going on. And
I can imagine it must be really fun.
It is. And we are in Aquitaine Coeurs South right now, and we're going into Aquitaine Coeurs.
Right.
At the intersection here, we'll be passing through and heading to Provence. We planned out the duchy in detail as we went along. We didn't know how big it would grow, but as we went along, we tried to make everything cohesive so that it made sense and that our residential areas and our commercial areas were not right next to each other, but spread out and had different kinds of ambiance to them. Some are rustic, some are more formal. Where we're going right now, the Provence market is a more formal market. And I used to have a piece of mainland region called Picasso, which I inherited from Nona Hedges. And she had a beautiful French market that she built there. And when I took over that area, I decided to build my own French market. And I kind of patterned it a little bit after her style. And we're going to be seeing that in a few minutes. So here we are coming up a little farm on the left, which is also a visitor area.
That's lovely.
And we are about, as soon as we cross this bridge a little way along, we'll be heading left into Provence.
Aha.
If the horse is not lost, which I don't think he is. It looks like he knows what he's doing.
He does seem to be.
Yes. They always know where the barn is. Okay, we should be making a left here and heading into Provence, which is just on the other side of these gates. On the right is the Pavilion des Pommes, and it is another place where we have events. That's always fun.
Right.
Here we're coming up on the Provence market in just a moment. This is Tatiana's tea room. Her main store is here. Also, I have a store here, and then we have several wonderful stores by some of our top designers for the French period clothing.
That's wonderful.
Welcome back to Designing Worlds, where this week we're exploring the magnificent Coeurs Duchy Sims, an example of French Baroque on an estate created by Bedřich Paneček, Sky Rider and Tatiana Variale. Bedřich, can you tell us something about this really wonderfully remarkable building?
This particular building was built by Tatiana, and she modeled this after the real-life French pavilion that was designed by Louis XV's chief architect at the instigation of Madame Pompadour. This is like a miniature palace, and it was intended as a summer gaming room with an attached summer dining room. 30 years later, Marie Antoinette used this for her private concerts given by lantern light.
Wow, amazing. It's a really exquisite building, and it's really exquisitely rendered as well. And what a marvellous place. And outside we can see houses at each of the four quarters by the look of it. What's the story behind those?
I'm not really familiar with all of the buildings, but the one that is directly to our west is the Petit Trianon, and that is the one that's where Marie Antoinette lived when she was living in at Versailles.
All right. Okay. Fascinating. Are there any other things that we should know about this particular building and its environs?
All of this is actually located in real life in just west of Paris. And Tatiana used plans, the original plans, to model this building and also the Petit Trianon. She actually had that laid out on the floor for quite a while, making sure that everything was in the correct position. So it was
wow.
She has loved to do this. She started working with these buildings before she came to Second Life, so that's probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow, so she was actually planning these before ever getting involved in virtual worlds at all?
Well, she actually worked with The Sims, and so she built models for The Sims.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Well. Marvellous. So this was really able to come into its own when she arrived here. That's pretty marvellous. One of the really cool things about this building is actually the marvellous vistas. You've got the buildings at the corner, at the quarters, and you've got these really gorgeous pathways that go off in different directions. And by Jove, I believe I see Saffia and Sky heading towards us.
Hi, yes, here they come down.
Good afternoon, Your Grace. Miss Widdershins.
Good afternoon. This is certainly a place that invites a degree of formality, isn't it?
It certainly is, but sadly, we're coming to the end of our show now, and I would like to thank Bedřich Paneček and Skyrider Variale, our very gracious hosts here today.
Thank you so much for coming to the Duchy.
It was our pleasure.
It's been wonderful.
Don't forget that if you want to see this program again, you'll be able to catch it over the coming week on the Treat TV Lifestyle channel and on the Designing Worlds page at treat.tv or on the Designing Worlds blog. But for now, we must leave you and wish you fair winds and clear waters.
Fair winds and clear waters.